ladies and gentlemen of the internet. My name is Matthew Cobb, and welcome to a special War Hero edition of Hot Take. And frankly, I had not intended to make another one of these for a little while, but seeing the reactions to the death of Senator John McCain from people all across the spectrum has got me very, very hot. So, on one side, you've got the left, who, while they absolutely slandered John McCain when he was alive, and especially whenever he was a threat to anything the Democrats wanted to get done, or when they were trying to run for office against him, they slandered him as a racist, as a misogynist, as a bigot, just as a terrible human being. And now that he's dead, and because he had a spat with Trump, now they're acting like he's the greatest man who ever lived, and like they loved him all along, and how they admire him so much. Now, look, I guess I applaud them for finally being willing to say he was a decent guy. But the hypocrisy here is just nauseating. We all know the only reason they give a damn about John McCain right now is because they can use him in a weapon against Trump. And on the other side, we have some of the people who are Trump loyalists or some diehard libertarians. And it pains me to say that part because I consider myself to be a libertarian on many things. But you have some of these people who are trying to trash John McCain and say, oh, he's no hero, he was a terrible person. Listen, he was not my favorite senator, by a long shot. I disagree with I disagree with a lot of things he did as a senator. I disagree with a lot of policies he supported, and I do think that as far as politics go, and as far as the Senate goes, that it is not a loss for the U.S. Senate that he is no longer there. However, that does not mean that he was not a good human being. Just because you are not a good politician does not mean you do not deserve respect as a human being. And of all people, the man served our country, and as a veteran myself, I take this a little bit personally. The man served 5 years in a Vietnamese prison and was tortured or held in solitary confinement that whole time, and he could have gotten early release. He had the option. He was offered it. Within the first couple months he was there, he was offered early release, and he didn't take it because that was a violation of military rules as far as how POWs were supposed to be released. He did it so he could not be used as a weapon against his man. And yes, he did eventually break and participate, and I think it was a written confession and one propaganda film, which he has admitted to, and he regretted horribly. Now, I'm sorry, but someone who has done that for our country, as far as I'm concerned, they get a pass for anything else they do for the rest of their lives short of killing somebody or raping somebody. So, frankly, I don't care what he did in the Senate. I don't care how many bad policies he supported. If he were alive and still running for office, that would be relevant. But the man is dead. That is not relevant anymore. He's not a political opponent of anyone anymore. He's not in the way of getting some policy done anymore. Now, he's just a man who is with God, and he's got grieving family and friends from all walks of life. And the man deserves some damn respect for what he did for our country. And for all the people trying to slander his service, not his merits as a politician, but to slander even his service. And that's not even to mention this petty feud that Trump has going on, where while he has finally been pressured into doing the right thing, which is actually honoring McCain's service and doing all the things we traditionally do for dead senators and the like. Like, I'm sorry, this is about more than some petty feud between Trump and McCain. And even the idea that Trump, where initially didn't even want to answer questions about McCain's death. Look, I will be perfectly honest. There's a lot of times where I appreciate Trump's pettiness because the establishment types in the media in Washington, D.C. are very, very self-absorbed, and sometimes they need to be brought down a peg. But there is no purpose that is served. There is no political or moral purpose that is served by attacking John McCain's service in his death. Absolutely no purpose served by it at all. And I am absolutely sick of the hypocrites in the media now all of a sudden acting like they love McCain when they hated him when he's alive. And I'm sick of some of these, and it's not all of them by any stretch of the imagination. It's a small, very small group of people. But I am very upset at these people on the right, which I consider myself to be a part of, these people on the right who are either Trump sycophants or hyper-libertarians or whatever motivation it is they've got, going after McCain because they didn't like his policies. That's perfectly legitimate while he's alive. It is not legitimate while he is dead and is no longer able to put those policies in place. And when he served our country and was tortured for 5 damn years for us. And this is not the type of argument I usually make. But you know what? For the people giving him shit over his service, when you serve in the military and you who are tortured for 5 years in a Vietnamese prison, then I'll listen to what you've got to say about John McCain's service. Until then, shut the hell up. That's my take.